Trump-Putin Alaska Summit, High Stakes for Ukraine Markets and Global Diplomacy. By Pulse News, August 14, 2025. The political and economic world is bracing for a pivotal moment as U.S. President Donald Trump prepares to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Anchorage, Alaska, on August 15. The summit, hastily arranged at Putin's request, will focus heavily on Ukraine's ongoing war and the possibility of a ceasefire. But concerns are growing that the talks could lead to controversial territorial concessions. Trump has warned that Russia will face severe consequences, including new sanctions and potential trade restrictions, if Putin refuses to commit to a ceasefire. The White House is pushing for a quick follow-up meeting involving Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky under pressure from NATO allies. Analysts say Trump's tone has hardened in recent weeks, but some remain skeptical about his consistency. Past shifts in policy toward Putin and his reluctance to punish China for importing Russian oil fuel doubts about his resolve. Experts warn that Putin could exploit the meeting to secure concessions in exchange for symbolic promises, potentially undermining Ukraine's territorial integrity. European leaders have urged Trump not to negotiate land swaps behind Ukraine's back. Social media sentiment is sharply divided. Critics accuse Trump of bluffing, while supporters praise him for setting a red line. Zelensky has publicly welcomed Trump's pre-summit assurances, but the stakes remain high. Failure could escalate tensions further. In a separate development, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has openly challenged the Federal Reserve's current monetary stance, urging an immediate 50 basis point cut in September. He argues that interest rates are overly restrictive and should be lowered by as much as 175 basis points to stimulate growth. Bessent's comments sparked debate among economists and market watchers. UBS strategist Themis Themistocleus agrees that cuts are needed but warns against large, rapid moves, citing risks of stagflation if inflation accelerates. The dollar weakened following Bessent's remarks, with analysts forecasting further depreciation against the euro through early 2026. The UK economy posted 0.3% growth in the second quarter, the second fastest in the G7, providing some relief for Chancellor Rachel Reeves. However, inflation is expected to hit 4% later this year, squeezing households and complicating the Bank of England's interest rate strategy. Economists caution that while pre-tariff spending has boosted growth, structural challenges like rising business costs and slowing job creation remain. Chinese AI firm DeepSeek delayed its next-generation model due to chip shortages, underscoring U.S.-China tech tensions. Apple is betting on generative AI hardware for 2026 and robotics by 2027, but faces investor pressure after a 10% stock decline this year. Hapag-Lloyd reports volatile shipping volumes amid U.S.-China tariff uncertainty, warning that lack of clarity is hurting long-term planning. Fashion houses are re-evaluating cultural engagement strategies, with analysts urging brands like LVMH to reconnect with music and youth culture to regain momentum. Bond yields are hovering near multi-month lows on growing expectations of Fed rate cuts, while the weakening dollar reflects both economic policy shifts and geopolitical uncertainty. Traders are watching the Alaska summit closely, as any sign of breakdown could rattle global markets and push oil prices higher. This week's developments show how interconnected diplomacy, economic policy, and market sentiment have become. The Trump-Putin talks could redefine the Ukraine conflict's trajectory, while Treasury-Fed tensions signal a shifting U.S. economic playbook. Investors are hedging bets, but volatility risk is climbing, especially with tariffs and tech competition still unresolved.